Hey, hello, AB.
I just got up to get water, and my dog had stepped in her bowl and spilled the entire bowl all over the floor.
Uh,
Are those paintings from your daughter?
yeah, oh, yeah, thanks. Some are from my daughter. This one, it was me.
Nice.
There it is. Welcome to Jurassic Park.
We've made living biological attractions so astounding that they'll capture the imagination of the entire planet.
The most phenomenal discovery of our time
How'd you do this?
becomes the greatest adventure of all time.
Can I touch it?
Sure.
Well, Regis, we're here today to talk about Jurassic Park, landmark film. It was released on June 9th, 1993, and it pioneered CGI. So it did that in visual effects and blockbuster movies. It was directed by Steven Spielberg and brought dinosaurs to life for the first time on the big screen. It made $914 million at the box office and kind of like spearheaded the use of CGI and visual effects in like big budget movies. To create the dinosaurs, Spielberg worked with Industrial Light and Magic, which was George Lucas's visual effects team. The CGI team, which was led by a guy named Dennis Murin, created dinosaurs that looked incredibly lifelike, moved naturally, and blended almost seamlessly into live-action scenes with human actors. The impressive Tyrannosaurus Rex and Brachiosaurus in particular left audiences in awe.
Ariana, even though you knew that all of those dinosaurs were just kind of models and everything, were there any times when they're a bit scary close up?
Yeah, there were a few times when I was shooting on the set. They were just so real. And really, the dinosaurs, they're actually there with us almost the whole time. And they're really like alive creatures right there with you, living and breathing creatures. And some of them are so scary. Like, they're not even hard to be scared of, like the T-Rex. And there's this one scene with the T-Rex I always remember so vividly as being even frightening to film because it was just so real. It was when I'm in the car with Joe Mazzello, and we have that plastic bubble over us, which is the top of the Jeep, and the T-Rex is over us, and it's crashing down on top of us, and we're screaming, and it's biting this plastic thing, and it was so scary. It was actually biting it there, and it left teeth marks on it.
Oh no, so those were real screams.
Yeah, it wasn't too hard.
Beyond the visuals, Jurassic Park delivered a sense of wonder and scientific possibility. The story explores the ethics of genetic engineering and tampering with nature. Some great Jeff Goldblum quotes in that movie about it. The all-cast star included him, Sam Neill, Laura Dern, Richard Attenborough, and kind of brought a lot of humanity to the science-focused film. 25 years later, it's considered a science fiction classic and a milestone in computer-generated imagery. The visual effects paved the way for CGI to become standard in blockbusters, allowing films to transport audiences to different times and worlds. The influence of Jurassic Park lives on in the ever-improving CGI and visual effects we see today. I just want to say, I watched the movie last night thinking it was going to look like CGI from 1993. It doesn't.
It's the best dinosaur movie ever made. And the visual effects from the original movie, it's better than the new ones. It is better than new ones.
I mean, admittedly, I haven't seen the new ones. Which is I probably shouldn't have admitted that, right? I only watched the one. I did read all 3 of the books, so I feel like that counts for something.
Oh, yeah, retired because I saw the new movies, but I didn't read the books.
That's all right. I think it was one of those nerdy things. I used to work for a company where like we sent out boxes of stuff, boxes of like geek related, like pop culture stuff. And one month we did an entire Jurassic Park box and had all 3 of the books. So I got to take all 3 of them home and read them. So what is it about the imagery in the first one you think that was better than the ones that came after it?
First of all, Jurassic Park is one of my favorite movies ever. It's
Yes.
one of my It's on my top 3 list.
Yes. Great.
Yeah.
I picked
Yeah,
right
I really
having
like
you on for this.
Yeah, the first one, just the first one. The others, the 2, it's more or less. 3, cool. Then yeah, cool. But none beats the first. It's hard to beat the original idea anyway. But in terms of visual effects, I think it was a peak of the visual effects those times. Because we were coming from the 80s where it was all prototype. How do you pronounce prosthetics?
Oh, prosthetics?
Yes,
Yeah.
prosthetics. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was like if you need to make a dinosaur movie, you would use toys and miniatures and
Yeah.
made of clay so you can move them and stop motion things. And when they started filming Jurassic Park, they would use those techniques. They hired the best guy in stop motion ever to do with stop motion. But someone told Steven Spielberg, you should look at CGI. And he was like, I'm not sure.
When he started the film, he wasn't planning on using CGI.
Yeah, he was not planning that.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, but they presented those CGI guys to Steven Spielberg, and he was very impressed by what they could do. But the real trick was that they merged these two techniques of CGI and real things, real replicas of the dinosaurs. So they did have the giant robot that was the T-Rex. So they mixed these two techniques together, and the result is the best thing that they ever did with dinosaurs.
I'm thinking of the scene where Sam Neill is laying on the Triceratops, and it just looks so lifelike that it's breathing and he's moving with it.
That was not CGI.
Was it robot and CGI?
I guess that one was just a robot, no CGI.
Well, it looked real, whatever they did. It was a very convincing robot.
Yes, it is. If I recall correctly, people were on the underground using something to go up and down to simulate the breathing. Yeah. Yeah, but there are other things that make this movie great. They filmed in a different screen ratio, more vertical than wide. It was not the normal widescreen of the time. It was more vertical because they want to get the sense of the height of the dinosaurs. So that adds a lot to the movie. The new movies don't have that touch, that finesse to do something like that.
The new ones shot in widescreen?
Yes.
Instead of full screen?
Unfortunately.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Especially, if you want to make somebody feel really like engulfed in what they're viewing, make it bigger. That's a really cool tidbit of information about that. Yeah.
But what I think they did to make it real was playing with the screen format, so it would give you a sense of height, and that's a nice trick. The other thing is that they did all in CGI. It was a mix of things, and a real robot still looks more real than CGI to this day, right?
Yeah.
I guess that the last movie that I really appreciate the visual effects, it was Matrix 1.
I
And
was just
some,
gonna say, I was gonna bring up the Matrix. Yeah.
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 And the second movie introduced more CGI and doesn't looks real at all.
Yeah.
There are some movies that I really like the visual effects, but they are done not with CGI. There are practical effects. Inception, for example,
Yeah.
that scene where the room is spinning.
Yeah.
They really built a room and made it to spin, and the actors were actually spinning inside
Yeah.
that. That's crazy. They are doing all with CGI, and I don't think the latest moves seem real. They feel like surreal.
Yes. Yes. So like when I think of things that are like, I guess I'm specifically thinking of like a lot of like the Marvel and DC movies, or things that are
Yes.
like really big, explosive, actiony, where it's almost like it feels overdone because of the amount of CGI that's in there versus the amount of like real action that's happening. But you're right. It's like it's almost
Yeah.
it's too crisp, it's too perfect. It doesn't leave a lot of room for the imagination. It's kind of like throwing it in your face.
Yeah, something that's funny. Sometimes I see some TV in a store or something, and they get that perfect image there, and I say, "What?
Yeah.
Reality is not so crispy. So this doesn't look surreal because I don't see that sharpie. I mean,
Right.
when you see a forest from the distance, like we see in Jurassic Park, it's like a mess up, some a little bit blur
Yeah.
and all that green. But if you look the new movies, you see like too crispy. It doesn't feel real to me.
It doesn't feel, I mean, if you look at a forest with the breeze blowing through it, the trees kind of like blend and move back and forth. It doesn't, yeah. I totally agree with you. It doesn't, it looks, I don't know if saying too real to be real.
Yeah. I guess that could be said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it feels, where it's almost it's overdone.
And there's another thing yet that makes the first movie great, which is the way they tell the history. It's beyond the dinosaurs because I guess the movie is 2 and something hours length.
Yeah. Like
And
2 hours and 10 minutes or something,
yeah,
which I didn't realize it when I started at 8:30 last night.
Yeah, and on that time you have 15 minutes of dinosaurs where you can see dinosaurs. 15 minutes because
That's it?
yes,
Wow.
because the how they tell the history, it's important. It's more important than showing the actual dinosaur. For example, I think the main antagonist in that movie are the velociraptors because
Yes.
yeah, the first scene where there's a caged dinosaur, it seems to be a velociraptor, and then when they get to Sam Neill doing the excavation and he's talking about velociraptors, the kids say, "Oh, that's not scary. It looks like a big turkey." And he goes, "No, look that claw. Yeah, here's how they hunt you. You think you are looking for the main predator, then phew, comes other two from, and you are not seeing them." So they started to prepare things for velociraptors. And then the second scene is when they get to the park and they will feed a velociraptor that's too aggressive down in a cow to the cage, and that mess. Okay, there's something dangerous in there.
That's not a turkey. That's not a 6-foot turkey.
Yeah. and when you finally get that scene where the guy that is like a hunter in the movie, he was like going to shut down a velociraptor, and you already know because the film prepared you for that.
Yeah.
That is not that easy. Where is the other velociraptors?
There's
You
not
remember
just one. Yeah.
so clever girl.
Yeah. I also like the scene where what is it? It's not the ones that have the
Dilophosaurus, I guess.
yes, where it sprays. I'll never remember the actor's name. He's the guy who played Newman in Seinfeld.
Yeah. I don't recall. I recall the name of the character. It was Dennis Nedry.
Yep.
And I was the guy who was the boss in CGI was Dennis Murray. Okay, two Dennis.
Dennis. Wait, where is? Yeah, Dennis Muren.
Yeah, then, and I thought there is a joke hidden here because Hammond says to Dennis, "Our lives is in your hands, and you are letting it drop." And it was more or less the situation of the movie with this other Dennis, that the movie was in his hands to be successful.
Because I mean, I don't think that there's a way that this movie would have been what it was if it hadn't been for the CGI. Like, it would have been a really good, interesting story, but it was like the realism that CGI brought to it that really made it
something.
Yeah,
that was really something. I was like, I liked dinosaurs when I was a kid, and I have watched some movies that they have dinosaurs. There was a TV show, The Missing Link. I'm not sure it's called like that in the US, but there were dinosaurs, and they were moving like tick 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 tick, that kind of movement. And I was not that excited to see Jurassic Park, and I was like, I see how it goes. The dinosaur appears and it's tick 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 tick.
Yeah.
But it was not. It was not. I was really impressed that they did it.
Yeah, with the smoothness of it, the natural look to it. Yeah. And especially to make them feel and act as big as they were. Like, have you ever seen a dinosaur, like a full put together dinosaur?
Like in a museum?
I cannot remember. I can't think of the word. Like in a museum or something,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
There's a museum in Chicago that has a full scale Tyrannosaurus Rex, and it is. I can't imagine having something that size running towards you.
Yeah.
And they made it feel real in this movie. Like, you can imagine yourself being chased by something that big and that terrifying.
Yeah. That first scene where the T-Rex appears is just amazing. And the jaw when it's crushing the goat.
Yep.
That big jaw, that's amazing. By the way, that was not CGI neither. It was the robot.
Really?
Yes. And when it goes to to grab the car with the kids.
Yeah.
It was not supposed to break the window, but the robot goes too down, and in that scene, they break the window. The kids are really scared because they did not expect that. Well, if you're not afraid of something that looks like a dinosaur, you're afraid of a set accident, a movie set accident. So you're afraid anyway. And in that scene, if you watch that in slow motion, you see that one tooth of the dinosaur flies away with the impact.
I might have to rewatch that.
That whole sequence, it's sometimes I guess that when they film the foot of the dinosaur from the back, and it's like on the mud and spreads the mud, that was CGI. So it's a mix, a perfect mix of CGI and reality.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that. We just were in a meeting, right? And we were talking about using AI and growing fast and losing the human touch that's needed.
Yeah.
Because are real people, real clients, real freelancers.
Yeah.
So I thought of that, like, I think we're using too much CGI and doesn't feels real. Back then, they got to mix two techniques at it best and got the best results. And I was thinking of that, like, I'm a programmer. We have a lot of AI tools to help us. I use GitHub Autopilot, but I'm concerned about that. I'm concerned because we need to keep the finesse, the human touch.
There needs to be a balance. I think that
we need to mix techniques. We need to mix artificial intelligence with natural intelligence, right?
Yeah.
But,
I feel the same way when I use, Chat GPT and Claude for helping with writing. Nobody wants to hear what a robot has to say. You can tell when a robot has written something. And for me, it's like, how do you find that balance between, like using the tools that are available and mixing that human element with it, which I think, was along the lines of what you're saying and along the lines of why this movie was so great, is because it found that good balance. And maybe that's because there was no precedent before it. There were no other movies doing this. So, whether it was, I didn't realize that the dinosaurs were only in there for 15 minutes. So maybe that was like a cost thing. Like, how much did CGI cost in the early 90s? Probably a lot more than it does today. So maybe that balance was more based on, I guess, the constrictions around everything else. Yeah. Well,
earlier today, I was coming back home because I took my kids to school and my wife to a course she is doing. And when I was going back because of the traffic, I opened up Waze and checked for the best route. But I look at that and I thought to myself that all that you don't use, it atrophies, right? I'm concerned with that we keep using technology and AI things too much, and where it goes our brain capacity to have critical thinking, to exercise our memory and our capability to find solutions outside the box. So I don't really like to use Waze too much because, man, I'm not even looking where I am. I'm just looking at the screen, and where is my capability to develop my spatial, my spatial vision. And so what I usually do, I open the Waze, I see the route, I double check, see there's anything better, and then I'll close it, and okay, I have enough information. Let me drive, and be aware of things around me, things like that.
That's been a challenge for me, having, like, I moved to a new city, new state. I moved 1,500 miles away from where I was living, and I still don't know how to get places.
Yeah.
I've been living here, it'll be a year this weekend, and I am still like, oh, I took a wrong turn. I guess I'm learning a new way to get there today. But it's because I'm so reliant on pulling up Google Maps and just setting it and having it tell me where to go.
Yeah.
And, 20 years ago, we didn't have Google Maps, and we still made it places without a problem. So it's being too reliant on that technology and not enough of the human element that I need.
Yeah. Well, not that 20 years ago we get to reach any place without a problem. There was a lot of problems. We would get lost. We wouldn't find the address. It's not so easy to talk when you really remember how we drive back in the days.
Yeah. Well, I think there's always going to be a balance. It's probably up to us. I don't know if it's up to us. It's up to, I don't know, maybe it is up to all of us to kind of like keep that balance in mind as, computers become more of a part of everyday life, and especially AI and how much that's growing.
This kind of things is a good exercise because it's not about technique and skills.
Yeah.
It's about art. You got to exercise art, and the art of living and the art of thinking.
Yeah.
And I guess that what Jurassic Park has more than the new movies. Better art, more handcrafted things.
Yes. Like there's more thought put into it on a lot of different levels that aren't just the graphics. I think that's a perfect note to end on.
I think it is.
Thank you for joining me today. I'm so glad I didn't even know that Jurassic Park was one of your top 3 movies. You've opened my eyes about a lot of things. This is awesome. Thanks for coming on today.
My pleasure.
Thanks for listening to the Frontier Podcast powered by Gun.io. We drop 2 episodes per week, so if you like this episode, be sure to subscribe on your platform of choice and come hang out with us again next week and bring all your internet friends. If you have questions or recommendations, just shoot us a Twitter DM at The Frontier Pod, and we'll see you next week.